Hi folks, I'm Dave Gallus. This is a new show. This is our second week of the show, and it's called We the People. And it's about unifying New Mexico, finding the truth. And I'll be having on experts every week that can explain things about the process. I am going to have on candidates they're running for, and just so happens that I'm running for New Mexico State Senate District 37. Now today we have on as a special guest, and who's somebody I've known since 2016, Andrew Ostic. Now he worked in the county clerk's office, and he is the go-to guy that I always went to when I had questions about elections. As a matter of fact, he taught me how to be a voter registration agent, and when I said I wanted to help with elections, he told me, he said, well, you're going to be an election official. We're going to put you in the town of Oregon as the presiding judge. And I said, whoa. But Andrew is very good at explaining things, training. So here we are with Andrew Ostic, my special guest. He is running for county clerk, Doñana County Clerk. And I can't think of a better person to be in charge of the county clerk's position that handles elections. So today's broadcast is going to be about elections. So Andrew, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Now, Andrew, you've been in the county clerk's office for how many years?
I've been in the county clerk's office for 18 years. I've served as a voting machine technician, election official, election official coordinator, and I was temporarily an interim election supervisor.
Well, every time I had a question about elections, you were the go-to guy, and you always had the right answers. So, okay, so you've been in the office. Now, what prompted you to run for county clerk?
My desire to run for county clerk was basically the desire to serve the public. I've always loved to serve the public at the front desk. I did have a lot of experience training election officials at the time, delivering voting machines. A lot of the stuff that I did is all pertinent to the county clerk's office, and I believe that knowledge and skill is very valuable to the people of Doñana County.
You know, I've had my own personal experience. After you, it was a little scary being the presiding judge at Oregon, and then I was the presiding judge again at Oregon. And but you taught me how all the process, I had to go through the training, and it went very well. But you know, in the last few elections, I was supposed to be first in the last election, I think it was 2018, I was supposed to be the presiding judge at City Hall. But then that switched at the last minute. And I was in the early voting, so first off I had to go through the whole process through the county to actually be an employee of the county. And it was almost as if they were making it difficult for me to become an employee so I could work the polls in early elections, which was 2 weeks long. But after I got through all that, I mean, I was a Philadelphia policeman. They could check my records easily there. I worked for the post office for 13 years. I gave them information, but it's almost as if they were trying to keep me from becoming an election official. So that was one incident. Mm-hmm. Then, when I was going to be in the 2018 election at City Hall, I was bounced from there, and I said, well, why am I bounced? And they said, well, we have somebody else we're going to put in City Hall. I didn't quite understand that. And I questioned it, but I was told, no, we have somebody else with more experience. I thought, okay. So come to find out the person did have more experience. I think her name was Cheryl Young. So she was made the presiding judge, and she did have more experience than me. But then I got bounced to New Mexico State University at Corbett Center. And again, I was supposed to be the presiding judge, and then that changed. Then I was going to be a judge of election, which is a lower level. And I inquired, why was I bounced from that? Well, I was told that the person, again, has more experience than me. And I thought, well, okay, maybe that's true. When I was working the polls as the lower level judge, the woman that was the presiding judge, the higher level, the overseer of everything, turns out she was never presiding judge. I was a presiding judge twice, and she never was. So it's like, I never felt as though that this was an honest election administration. So I have my questions, and when I questioned Amanda Askin and Lindsey Bachman, why was this done? They got nasty with me. And Amanda said, you are working for me. You have to do what I say. So I was being threatened, basically. Mm-hmm. So But Andrew, let me ask you, do you feel as though that the elections have been fair, run honestly, put out information so people can understand clearly what's going on?
For this primary election, I believe that the voters have not been properly notified of their polling locations. That's something that's very important. Everybody needs to know that their polling location is open on election day. Spanish-speaking voters, people that are not registered to vote. There has been a court order designating 21 locations to be open and 19 to be closed. Of those 19 locations, the voters in those communities have not been properly notified. Election officials, I've heard from, have not been properly notified in writing, and that is pursuant statute. What I used to do in the county clerk's office was mail a postcard to every election official 42 days before the election, and that would have the place you're going to serve, your location, the times of the trainings would be on that postcard, and you would return that postcard back to the office with the acceptance or refusal to serve.
And how many days before the election would you notify the people?
The statute changed in 2019. It used to be 55 days. Now it's 42 days.
Well, my gosh, I know I didn't get that kind of notice.
Yeah.
I got last-minute notices, and it's almost as if they're trying to just keep you from being part of the election.
I'm not quite sure what type of operation they're running. If they're not going to notify election officials, there's not going to be anybody serving on election day. And that's very, very startling to me. I worked in the office for so long, and I see that everything that I adhere to statutorily is just being ignored. Election officials are being just pushed aside, disrespected, I think.
Well, you see, that's where people lose trust in our government. And
Yes.
and if you don't get the elections right, we're not getting anything right in government.
Exactly.
So when I went in to make the complaint at the county clerk's office about how I was bumped around from City Hall to New Mexico State, then lost the presiding judge status, there was a lady there, and it just so happens that I'm conservative, I'm a registered Republican, this lady was a registered Republican. She was notified that she was taken off the roll as an election official, but then I hear that they don't have enough people volunteering for election officials. Doesn't make sense. It's almost as if they're lying to you.
Exactly. I feel that Amanda Lopez Askin was pushing for that all-male election, and the reason was because she could not adequately staff this election. She has no experienced staff in that department that has the experience level that I have. I have done several elections where I've appointed school board elections, school bond, water elections, city, municipal elections, primary and general elections. There's one time that I had to appoint close to 600 people for a general election. Back then, we had to appoint 5 people per location and separate by party affiliation.
Wow.
But back then, it was a lot easier because I had the Republicans and Democrats submit a list to me, and I would choose those officials from the list per statute. That no longer exists in the statute. Now,
So you had a balance before.
Yeah.
You had Republicans and Democrats, so everybody felt like they were getting a fair say here.
Yes.
But not now?
Right now, there's a loss of a lot of Republican representation at the polls. I think the statute provides that it just has to have a party affiliation opposite the presiding judge. So you have 2 judges, either the same party affiliation or a different party affiliation than the presiding judge. That's the way it was interpreted by the county clerk last year. But in the past, I've always had a two-party judges that were different. Mm-hmm. And so that meant Republican, Democrat, or a DTS, Libertarian.
Right.
But right now, I don't think I'm seeing that.
You get a fair shake. Now, okay, you've had 18 years experience in the county clerk's office?
Yes, sir.
And Amanda Askin, how much experience did she have when she was appointed? Was she appointed? It wasn't appointed,
She was
right?
appointed in 2018. She was appointed,
Right.
September
Now,
2018.
So what was her experience to be appointed?
I looked at her resume. I don't see any election experience whatsoever.
Did you put in for that position at that time?
At that time, I did not, because I thought that we could get someone that was capable of performing those duties.
Well, I'll tell you what, after this CD2 election we had in 2018, where Yvette Harrell was ahead, and then they found 8,000 ballots, 2 separate locations. They found 8,000 absentee ballots. What the heck happened there?
I still don't know how that error could have taken place.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are not supposed to leave a polling location while ballots still need to be processed, correct?
That's correct.
But she closed the place down, saying that she didn't have enough employees, or the people had swollen hands, I think she said, from counting ballots. I don't think that was the truth, but this is what she said. And she closed the building down, and it was kept at a warehouse?
They had the absentee tallying at a warehouse, 2480 Lakeside. It's a dark area.
I've been over there.
If you go down there, it's very hard to find. It's open to the public, but I think it's very dark. You can't see where you're going on that road. A lot of the poll officials from other elections that had to deliver the returns there couldn't even find the location to deliver their returns.
Right. Now, I had a hard time finding it myself because they were checking out machines before the last election. So it just doesn't feel like we're getting a fair and honest election. And this idea of turning up 8,000 ballots, and they're pushing now, our governor was pushing now, that they want to have only mail-in ballot. So if you're going to have corruption, possible corruption, my assumption, in the absentee ballots, mail-in ballots is going to be that much worse.
Yeah.
So where's the integrity?
Well, she's already demonstrated she can't handle the small amount of ballots for the 2018 election.
Right.
Now she's pressing for an all-mail election in which there could be even more ballots to process, and that could be very, very dangerous because people's votes, are at stake.
Sure. Folks, I want to let you know something, that I'm a conservative, I'm a registered Republican, I'm running as a Republican for state Senate. Andrew is a Democrat. So, and Andrew is a very trustworthy person, my opinion. And over the years I've known Andrew, I see no difference in Democrat and Republican when you have an honest person in charge. So, and I don't feel that with Amanda Askin. So, anyway, so do you have any history of seeing, what would you say, inconsistencies in voting, maybe to the point of corruption in the Doñana County elections?
Nothing to the, personally witnessed anything, but during Mr. Ceballos, he's the one that hired me for the elections.
He was a former county clerk?
He was prosecuted for election violations that are even, I think, not even worthy of being, prosecuted. Amanda has done a lot of things that are very questionable. I don't understand why she has been getting away with this much.
So who would be the one that would actually oversee these inconsistencies, if not criminal actions?
The State Ethics Commission was established January 1st, 2020. They're supposed to look into any type of complaint that is filed. You can go to their website, sec.state.nmus, to file a complaint. I'm not sure how it's handled. It's the first time that they have this commission.
Right.
But I stress that someone needs to voice their complaints on this election so far.
Well, I understand that they fired you from the election board. What happened there?
They had told me that they had notified me that there was a few Republicans that were not eligible to serve this past election in 2019. And so I had appointed them, and then they told me after the appointments went out that these people were not to serve. And they said they had told me in a meeting prior to the appointments. Mm-hmm. I told them, I said, I was never notified of the names. And in a previous meeting, they gave me a list of the poll officials not to be hired. None of those officials were on that list. They still cannot produce one of those lists to date. Another reason was because the messenger machine judge, they are the people that bring the results cartridges back to the warehouse or the county clerk's office on election night. That makes sure that we get the results in time so we can report it to the people that are waiting for the results. I didn't have a machine judge at one location, and that was at the Frank O'Brien Papin Center. The presiding judge had went into labor, and I had to promote the machine judge there to presiding judge because she was the only one that attended the training.
Andrew, hold on, because we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue this, because this is very interesting. Okay, folks, we'll be right back. This is the Las Cruces channel, Xfinity channel 98. We'll be right back with Andrew Ostic for County Clerk.
Rising Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
They've stormed beaches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
Hi, folks. I'm Dave Gallus. This is We the People, and it's about unifying New Mexico and finding the truth in politics, if that's possible. And I think we can. I'm having guests on today. We have Andrew Ostic, who's running for county clerk, very experienced election official, election employee that worked at the county. And Andrew has lost his job under questionable circumstances that it doesn't seem like they had grounds to fire him other than maybe he was an honest election person. So, Andrew, welcome back again.
Yes.
It seems as though that you were let go because you were, could you tell us again what happened there with that?
Okay. And then I missed a staff training that was held, I guess it was during my time working at City Hall as an election official. They had notified me through this program that they have. It's not an email program. It's just it's almost like Facebook. They'll tag you and tell you attend this training, and if you don't look at it, you'll never know. So I did not know of the training, so they charged me with not attending that training that was required. They did not offer it again. It was a presiding judge supply bag pickup training. And another employee said that he forgot about the training, and they just tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, there's a training going on right here. I was
So you were singled out.
I was singled out, yes.
Now also that you said that there was a point where you were supposed to take 2 Republicans off of the rolls as an election official, but you weren't notified on paper. They said that you were notified just verbally. So there's no evidence that you've done anything wrong?
There's no evidence whatsoever. I have the do not hire list that they submitted to me. It was February 7th, 2019, and it doesn't have any of those names on that list.
What would you say was your involvement in elections? How much did you do actually to take care of the elections in Doñana County and probably, I think, the city elections as well?
I performed
I heard that
relatively
you run everything.
Almost everything about the election officials. I trained election staff, did the payroll reports, monitored and supervised. I didn't have a supervisor title. I was just I was like under 3 other people in my job, but I did perform.
So they counted on you to run the elections, basically. It sounds like. Now
Yes.
I wonder how smoothly the primaries are going to run this coming June without you being there. It'll be interesting because I want folks, remember, if this doesn't go off smoothly, if people aren't notified properly, and it seems like they haven't been already, we have a confusion about the polling locations. There were some that were reduced and eliminated because I guess the COVID-19, and incidentally, folks, we're 6 feet apart. And we've used hand sanitizer after we shook hands, so we're good to go. But so it doesn't sound like it's running smooth already. Do you see inconsistencies right now that are going on in the pre-primary here?
Yes, I've heard from a lot of election officials throughout this election cycle asking me questions pertaining to the clerk's office procedures of appointing election officials. There's even a more startling instance where they're not being given their oath of office during the training, and that is a requirement.
I remember we had to sign off on it as well.
Yes.
They're not doing that.
They can't do it during the Zoom trainings. I'm not sure what they're going to do. That's something I'd like to alert them if they are watching. You need to have them fill out an oath of office and a W-9 form if they have any updates, because that ensures the poll workers get paid.
And W-9 is the tax information.
Yes.
For the okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my gosh, we had to go do all that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that can be done. I mean, it doesn't have to be. That could be done individually. You could have a person come in, sign, take their oath of office, sign. So there's ways to do this.
Yeah,
and they're not doing it.
They're not doing it for this election, I guess.
Wow.
Unless they do it election day, the presiding judge can give them an oath on election day. That's the only workaround I can see.
Yeah.
But it should be done now because it ensures that you have those oaths. They're signed by Amanda, and this election is statutorily adhered to.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's confusing. And, what we had with the city elections, with the ranked choice voting, what a mess that was. I've heard so much flack about that, and it's like confusing. It's so important that people understand real clearly what's going on. Now, when you were there, you were putting out information on paper form to really notify the people. I don't hear anything coming out of the county clerk's office.
And that's another thing, too. Poll officials are supposed to receive a training manual of some kind. These Zoom meetings, I'm not sure if they're emailed the training manuals, but if you're emailed a training manual, you're less than likely to take it with you to the polls and follow it.
Sure.
That's another instance where I see that we can have problems on election day.
Well, I kind of think we're going to have problems on election day, this primary. Maybe this is the primer to the general election that's coming up in November. It's like, holy smoke. Well, you better get back in there. You better get elected.
Yes.
So your election is, it's June 3rd, is it, I think?
It's June 2nd.
June 2nd, okay. That's the primary. Now, what's going on right now with the early elections? I believe, well, why don't you tell us?
Okay, early election starts this Saturday. It's going to be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to have the polling locations open. City Hall, Las Cruces City Hall is going to be open. Anthony City Hall, the NMSU Corbett Center. The Doñana County Government Center will not be open on the Saturdays, but they're still open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We'll have Hatch High School, Sonoma Elementary School, the Doñana Community College in Sunland Park, the Chaparral Dolores Wright Educational Center. I believe that's it. That's
Well, you have this all memorized, so I would say you know what you're talking about. Well, right now, you can do early voting at the county building.
You can do early voting at the county building. They give you a mask. I have one here. I voted on Monday. Just make sure that you sanitize your hands, play it safe. It's very easy. It's in and out. It's not really busy at all.
No, I was over there.
They have 900 votes thus far.
I think I was 721 on the day I went. And listen, folks, you don't have to worry about social distancing. You have plenty of distance between you. I was the only one in there. When you go in, the girl meets you at the entrance to the county building and offers you a mask that's sealed in a Ziploc bag. You take the mask. When you go into the voting poll, then you can pick up your ballot, the sample ballot, and then they give you a popsicle stick inside of a plastic bag, so you're not touching the popsicle stick, and that's what you sign the register with. And it's social distancing. Everything's followed. You don't have to worry about getting infected. I always like to pull the lever. I always like to mark the ballot because I know when I put that in the machine, as much as you can know, if the machine's legitimate, that your vote is being registered and registered properly. And you hear the little ding on the machine when you've voted properly. So I would say I like voting in person. It's safe to vote in person. And the idea of absentee ballots scares me because of the 8,000 ballots that showed up in the 2018 election. So, well, Andrew, I am really happy that you're running. I appreciate your running. Now, with you're being fired. I believe you filed a federal EEOC complaint.
Yes, sir.
How's that going?
I can't speak on behalf of any type of pending litigation.
Well, I'm glad you're standing up for yourself. And I mean, that's wrong. I mean, they took you out, and it didn't sound like they had evidence, any evidence that could prove that you did anything really wrong. I'm sure you have other people that have done much, well, I wouldn't even say it was bad. It was like an oversight. So I think you were railroaded,
Yes, sir.
and that has to be corrected. And, you know, you're a Democrat. I'm a Republican. But fair is fair, and honesty. We want truth in elections. And, you know, Andrew, what do you think about voter ID?
Voter ID is similar to the voter information that we already mail out in the county clerk's office. I know there's several states, Colorado, Texas, and Arizona, they require photo ID. I'm not really opposed to any type of, you know, something that enhances the information that the voter gets.
Right.
That would be beneficial if they do get a voter ID card and
Sure.
they're to present it. But I do also believe that if you do not have a voter ID, you can vote provisionally. And so that's something that's already in place.
Sure.
I know a lot of people that are against the voter suppression, but if you have the provisional ballot procedures, that kind of eliminates any type of wrongdoing at the polls, I believe.
Because they actually, when they process that information, they go back and make sure you're a citizen, you're not a felon. If you were a felon, you've done your time, and also you're exonerated of, what would you say? You've done your time.
Yes.
So, and you should be allowed to vote. Well, Andrew, we're about ready to close up the show. Is there anything you'd like to tell the folks? How can they get a hold of you to help you out with your campaign?
You can contact me on Facebook, Andrew Ostic for County Clerk. You can message me. I'm very receptive. I have my phone number on that page. You can call me. You can text me. If you have any questions on elections, don't hesitate to contact me. I really miss the public service aspect of the clerk's office. I'm always willing to help. And I really appreciate your vote. Me and Laura Rosales will work hard for you. We've already shown our work ethic, and we are very motivated to hit the ground running when we do win county clerk.
Thank you, Andrew. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to shake your hand at a distance here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we're going to have Andrew back on the when is it? We're going to have you back on Saturday the 30th. So we're going to get more information. We'll have Andrew back next week. We're going to have Yvette Harold running for State Senate, I believe it is, or is it CD2?
It's CD2.
CD2, excuse me. That's Congressional District 2. That'll be Yvette Harold next week, Andrew the week after. So come back and see us, Las Cruces Channel, Xfinity, Channel 98, Saturday 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., We the People with Dave Gallus. See you next time.